It's creamy, it's fudgy, it's 2C thick. Today we're drinking salted caramel shake. Hi guys, it's Jim here with another episode of Beers of the British Isles. On today's episode, we have a beer that came through my letterbox yet again, courtesy of those rascals at Beer 52, where apparently I'm now a member. Don't remember when that happened, but they must have done. And today we're drinking Salted Caramel Shake by Ravens Brewery. Now this is, like I said, did come through my letterbox thanks to Beer 52, but you don't need to be a member to enjoy this beer. You can buy individual cans of it, you can get it online, you can get it at beer52.com as well as other places, other beer vendors. Now Three Ravens, Melbourne's oldest brewery, in a country that's about 300 years old, maybe less. I guess the brewery has to be younger than that. But you know, maybe it's pretty old still. I don't have a lot of other information about Three Ravens Brewery, but I guess that doesn't matter because most of you aren't going to go visit it anyway, let's be honest. If you're around, if you're in Melbourne, maybe give them a shout. If you're not, then I guess you're just not going to be able to go there. So it doesn't really matter how cool they are. They do seem like good guys though. They seem, you know, they have a lot of fun on their website with the names of their beers. I mean, this salted caramel shake doesn't really ignite the passions of artistry in you. It's pretty straightforward, but they do describe it as a partially gelatinous, non-dairy, beer-based beverage, which I thought was absolutely awesome. If you're a Simpsons fan, you may or may not get that. So this is a salted caramel shake. Now the reason I've picked this, the reason I've ventured outside of the British Isles today on this one and gone online is because this beer seemed just interesting enough for me to get away with that on. Salted caramel shake. I'm sure that you're all now wondering what kind of stout this is going to be. But no, this is an IPA. This is a salted caramel IPA, which should be interesting to say the least. There's a lot to like about this beer. It looks kind of cool. The brewery's done a really good job of describing it on the website. It's a 375ml can, which I love. Let's just dig in there and see how it turns out. Okay, all poured in. I got my nice cold salted caramel milkshake IPA, and it does look kind of milkshakey as well. Head seems to be a bit of a letdown, but nice and hazy as you would expect. The colour is kind of like a caramel colour, not like a caramelly beer, but it actually looks a little bit like caramel, which is pretty cool. Now there's not a lot of information about this beer, really. It's, like I said, it's a partially gelatinated, non-dairy beer-based beverage. It contains oats, barley, and high-protein grain. So this has got triticale in it, which is kind of like you don't really hear about that often. It's kind of a barley rye blend, I think. Not a blend, a hybrid, a barley rye hybrid, I think. So that'd be interesting. Obviously, it's got lactose in it. It's a milkshake IPA, and it has Australian hops. I'm not sure which ones, but they're the best ones anyway, so I'm sure they're going to be great. I've talked this through enough. Now I'm going to give this a little sniff. Okay. Not loads coming through. There is a kind of a weird sweetness actually. I wouldn't say it's caramel necessarily, but there is something there in the back end. And I'm going to give it a taste. Interesting. Very interesting. So I'll talk you through the journey here. So This, the first sip, I guess I didn't really know what was going on. The second sip was much clearer. It's pretty good actually. It's quite interesting. So when you first drink it, it's very bitter. I will say that for a milkshake IPA, the hop flavors in this aren't really screaming out to me. It's kind of nicely bittered. It has a real sort of upfront bitterness when you first drink it. Maybe that's the carbonation. I'm not sure, and I don't know what the IBUs are. But it's got a nice crisp bitterness to it up front, and then that really is just washed away by caramel. I'm not sure about salted caramel, but caramel for sure. And then yeah, you are kind of left with sort of what is that? It's kind of, the hop flavor at the end is kind of muddied by the salted caramel. You know, these Australian hops tend to have very tropical flavors to them, which can have a sort of a juicy edge. So there is a juicy edge to it, but it's kind of, I'm struggling putting my finger on it. It's juicy, it's caramel. The salted caramel comes through really quite well actually. I'm pretty surprised. Yeah, interesting. But another thing about this beer is, if you read on the can here, it says that it was blended by Three Ravens. I'm not sure if that means that that's not actually a brewery, or whether they've sort of just taken on board this salted caramel mantle and sort of made the salted caramel beer. But yeah, it's very good. So it's got a real nice crisp bitterness up front. Then the caramel really comes through, and then at the end you are left with a flavour that's reminiscent of a juicy hop flavour, but it's not necessarily just that. Okay, let's sum this up then. Let's sum up Salted Caramel Shake by Three Ravens. Like I say, the name isn't that inventive, but these guys really do have a lot of banter online. If you read the descriptions of their drinks, they're actually quite witty, despite the name of this beer. If I was a good researcher and presenter, I would have had a list of them ready for you to prove it, but I didn't do that. Right, so I'm going to walk you through this drink. Now, the appearance, it's a weird one because it is actually quite good. If you were to describe a salted caramel shake and you got this, it's exactly what you're looking for. But it's a beer. With hazy beers, you really need to stay pale, I think. Because this is kind of on the darker side, it's starting to look a little bit murky, so the appearance isn't actually that appealing to me, and the head retention is nothing really. The aroma, yeah, I said there was that like sweetness to it. It kind of has that, it kind of has a coconutty flavour to it. I sort of hesitate to say that, but yeah, it has a coconut edge. There's no coconut in this at all, but that's kind of like what's coming across. It's a sweet aroma that's kind of unexpected, and it doesn't really tie in with the rest of the beer. So I guess it's sort of just the thing that's poking through rather than sort of the thing that's predominant in there. All right, so for the taste. Yeah, so like I say, it is nice and bitter at front. I've just realised that I do know the IBUs of this beer. It's 10 IBUs, which is amazing. It's perfect for the style, you know, a nice milkshake, a hazy IPA. 10 IBUs is perfect. I'm really surprised at how well it comes through, to be honest, the bitterness. I mean, I know that I shouldn't let that sort of affect my judgment or anything, but it means that the beer's probably, you know, they've done a really good job at balancing this beer. After the bitterness is washed away, the caramel comes through in spades, and then you're left with that sort of just generic juice at the back. All in all, quite a nice beer. It's kind of, it is reminiscent of, I had a beer a while ago. I did a video a while ago of Wake Up and Smell the Goes by, was it Evil Twin Brewery? And it's kind of reminiscent of that. I think that's the salt. It's done quite well. And you know what? I don't actually even know if there is any salt in this or what. But it has that kind of weird sort of bittersweetness. Not bittersweetness, but bitterness blended with sweetness. And they've pulled it off quite well, actually. So, with that in mind, if I were to rate this beer on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give this a solid 6. It tastes good. It doesn't quite do what it says on the tin. Even though it is caramelly, it's just, for me, the body isn't quite there in this, and the haze, unfortunately, has muddied the water a little bit, quite literally. But all in all, pretty good beer. Solid 6. The hops come through at the end, which is different for like one of the for this style. 6%, quite boozy. 10 IBUs, very well balanced. I'm going to give it a 6. So, guys, I mean, if you're a Beer 52 member, you'll already own this beer. If you're not, head over to Beer 52. Maybe head over to Three Ravens if you're in Australia and grab one. And as you sip on your salted caramel shake, stick on "You Never Can Tell" by Chuck Berry. That's the song in Pulp Fiction. You know, they're drinking their $6 shakes and down boogie on down. Pretty cool song, pretty cool beer, pretty cool brewery. So until next time, guys, cheers.